we have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. Maturity comes not with age or having a degree. That is not maturity. Maturity is a state of mind and heart. Hello and welcome to episode 278 of Urgency of Change. The Krishnamurti podcast features extracts from Krishnamurti's recorded talks. Each episode highlights his different approaches to universal and timeless themes that affect our everyday lives, the state of the world, and the future of humanity. This episode's theme is maturity. Upcoming themes are drugs, goodness and generosity, and civilization. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. Please visit our website at kfoundation.org, where you can find a popular collection of quotes, a variety of featured articles, along with a wide selection of curated material in the index of topics. This index allows easy access to book, audio, and video extracts. Our online store stocks the best of Krishnamurti's books and ships worldwide. We also offer free downloads, including a selection of booklets. You can also find our regular Krishnamurti quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review or rating on your podcast app. This episode on maturity has 5 sections. This first extract is from Krishnamurti's 6th talk in Bombay 1962 and is titled, What is Maturity?
We have to understand what is mature thinking, what is maturity, and what is age. Most of us know what age is, because we do grow old, whether we like it or not. Age is not maturity. Maturity has nothing to do with knowledge. Age can contain knowledge, but not maturity. Age can continue with all the knowledge, traditions it has acquired. Age is a mechanical process of an organism growing old, being used constantly. And a body that is constantly being used in strife, in travail, in sorrow, in fear. An organism that is driven soon ages, like any machine. But an organism that has aged is not a mature mind. So we have to understand the difference between age and maturity. Most of us are born young, but the generation that has aged soon brings old age to the young. The past generation, which has aged in knowledge, in decrepitude, in ugliness, in sorrow, in fear, impinges that on the young, and they're already old in age, and they die, and that is the lot of every generation caught in the previous structure of society. And society doesn't want a new person, a new entity. It wants him to be respectable. It molds him, it shapes him, and so destroys the freshness, the innocence, the youth. This is what we are doing to all the children around in the world and here. And that child, when grows into manhood, is already aged, and he will never mature. For maturity is the destruction of society, the psychological structure of society. Unless you are totally, completely, ruthlessly with yourself free of society, you will never be mature. The social structure, the psychological structure of greed, envy, power, possession, obeying. If you're not free of all that psychologically, then you will never mature. And you need a mature mind. A mind that is alone in its maturity. A mind that has not been crippled, not been spotted. That has no burden whatsoever. It's only such a mind is mature mind. And you have to understand this. And maturity is not a matter of time. If you see very clearly, without any distortion, the psychological structure of a society in which you have been born, bred, educated, see it clearly, and the instant you see, you are out of it. Therefore, there is maturity on the instant, not in time. You cannot mature gradually. It's not like the fruit on the tree. The fruit on the tree needs time, darkness, fresh air, sunlight, rain. And in that process, it ripens, ready to fall. But maturity cannot ripen. Maturity is on the instant. Either you are mature or you are not mature. And that's why it's very important psychologically to see how the mind is caught in the structure of a society in which you have been brought up. The society that has made you respectable. The society that has made you conform, driven you in the pattern of its activities. And I think one can see it. See it totally, immediately, the poisonous nature of such a society. As you see a bottle marked poison, you will never touch it. You know it is dangerous. But you don't know society is a danger. It's the deadliest thing for a man who would mature. And maturity is that state of mind which is alone. Because this psychological social structure never leaves you alone. It's always shaping you, consciously or unconsciously. A mature mind is a mind which is completely alone, because it is understood and therefore free. And this freedom is on the instant. You cannot work for it. You cannot seek it. You cannot discipline yourself in order to get it. And that's the beauty of freedom. Because freedom is not the result of thought. Thought is never free, can never be free. So, if we understand the nature of maturity, then we can look into time and continuity. For most of us, time is an actual reality. The time by the watch is an actual reality. We have to stop this meeting at 7 o'clock or 7:15. It takes time to go to your house. It takes time to acquire knowledge. It takes time to learn a technique. But is there any other time except that time? Is there psychological time? We have built up the psychological time. The time which is covered by the distance, the space between me and what I want to be, between me and what I should be, between the past, which was me, through the present, which is the me, to the future, which is the me. So thought builds the psychological time. But is there such time? So, to find out for yourself, you have to consider continuity. What do we mean by that word? And what is this inward significance of that word which is so common on our lips? You know, if you think about something constantly, the pleasure that you have had constantly, day after day, every minute, that gives to that past pleasure a continuity. If you think about something that's painful, either in the past or in the future, that gives continuity. It's very simple. I like something, and I think about it. The thinking about it establishes a relationship between what has been and the thought which thinks about it and the fact that I would like to have it again. Please, this is a very simple thing if you give your mind to it. It's not a complex thing. Because if you do not understand what is continuity, you will not understand what we are going to what I am going to say about death. You have to understand this, not expressed by me as a theory or as a belief, but as an actuality which you see for yourself. If you think about your wife, or about your house, about your children, about your job, all the time, you have established a continuity, have you not? If you have a grudge, a fear, a sense of guilt, and to think about it, off and on, recall it, remember it, bring it out of the past, you have established a continuity. And our minds function in that continuity. All our thinking is that continuity. And psychologically, you are violent and you think about non-being violent, the ideal. So you establish a continuity of not being violent, as you have established the continuity of being violent. Please, this is important to understand because it's very simple once you see this thing. That thought, that thinking about something gives it continuity, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. Whether it gives you a joy or gives you pain. Whether it's something past or something that's going to take place tomorrow or next week. So it is thought that establishes continuity in action, as going to the office day after day, month after month, for 30 years till your mind is a dead mind. And you equally establish a continuity with your family. It's my family, you think about it. That you try to protect it, try to build structural, psychological structure of protection around it and around yourself. And so the family becomes extraordinarily important. And you destroy, the family destroys. It's a deadly thing. Because it's part of the social structure which holds the individual. So, having established continuity, psychologically as well as physically, then time becomes very important. Time, not by the watch. Time as a means of arriving. Time as a means psychologically, achieving, gaining, succeeding. And you can't succeed, you can't gain unless you think about it, till you give your mind to it. So, psychologically, inwardly, the desire for continuity is the way of time. And time breeds fear. And so, thought as time dreads death.
The second extract is from the fourth talk at Rishi Valley in 1965 and is titled The Slowly Maturing Mind.
Don't you sometimes wonder why it is that when we begin to grow up, that is, to become more mature, we seem to lose curiosity, friendliness, affection, a sense of alertness, the wanting to know of things. And gradually, as we go older, problems set in. You know what problems are? No? Oh Lord. You get married. And that seems to be an invariable thing to do. And you begin to quarrel, you and your wife. And you don't know what to do. Or you're frightened of your job, that you can't do very well at that job. You might lose it. The losing of the job, the quarreling with the wife, a child becoming ill, and so on, become problems, which you don't know how to solve. You might lose your job, and so you get frightened. And that fear creates a problem in your life. So we have problems, not now while we are young, but as we grow up, whether we shall pass our examinations, whether we shall be married properly, whether we shall have a good job, a good house, whether it will be a nice wife and a nice husband, and so on and on and on through life. Problem after problem. And gradually these problems, unresolved, unsolved, close in upon us. And we lose all the pleasures, the fun of looking at things, completely lost in little things, in toys, in running about, in playing, in looking at the sky, in reading stories. I wonder why this happens, don't you? If you have noticed, your parents, the older people, you must have noticed this taking place all over the world. While one is very young, there is a freshness, an innocence, an open smile, friendly eyes. a sense of affection, a great deal of innocence. And as we grow older, all that disappears, and we become dull, rather heavy in body as well as in mind. And don't you wonder sometimes why it is that this happens? Don't you? Do you? No? Haven't you noticed this? Huh? Have you? I'm surprised. Why do you think this happens? You tell me. Look, while you are here in the school, you are playing. You are enjoying yourself. You are lazy. You want to do all kinds of things. You want to go to the top of the mountain. And so on and so on. You're full of fun, enjoyment. And as you grow older, all that fun, enjoyment, and innocency disappears. Don't you want to know why? Huh? Do you want to know? First, have you noticed this to be true? Yes? Yes? If you have noticed this to be true, what do you think is the reason of it? Why do you think this happens in life? Is that the invariable nature of man to always have problems, to be always in sorrow, in pain, in anxiety? Or is there a way out of all this? You know, most religions in the world say you must escape from this world of sorrow, this world of misery, this world where everybody is against another. So, religions offer a means of escape. And so, religions fail because you can't escape from life. You can't shut your eyes and say, I'm not going to do this, I'm not. You have to understand life. You can't run away. You can't hide yourself in a monastery or put on sannyasi clothes and run away. You have to understand it. But we cannot understand it if we are all the time concerned with our own little problems, with our own little house, with our own wives, children, job. We must look wider, mustn't we? Does this interest you? Does this interest you, what I'm talking about first? You know what innocency is? Having a fresh mind, a young mind, a mind that isn't spotted, a mind that wants to know, that thinks clearly, simply. A mind that isn't full of weary burdens, full of problems. Such a young mind is always deciding, looking, asking, demanding, searching, uncertain. It never settles down. It never becomes heavy, dull, stupid. And while we are young, like you're fairly innocent, aren't you? You may be naughty, you may be mischievous, you may be talkative. You may pull somebody's hair, tease each other. But it's all more or less out of fun. But as you grow older, society says you must do this and you must do that. You must not do that. Society says you must become a citizen, a nationalist. Then there are wars. China attacks India and you must take part. You have to vote. You have to get married. You have to have a job. So all this begins to come on the top of you. This tremendous weight of being a man or a woman comes on the top of you. And you don't know how to meet it. So it seems to me right education is not merely passing examinations, getting hold of a particular job or a career or getting married, or merely getting married, but being educated to meet all these extraordinary varieties of life. That means you must be very sensitive, very intelligent. Otherwise you can't meet it. And therefore, as you can't meet these extraordinary problems of life, these problems follow you. And you get lost, you get weary, you get dull, you get stupid. So the thing is, good education should help one to be sensitive. Not only learn various subjects, know various things and so on, but also help one to be really sensitive. You know what it is to be sensitive? You know, when somebody hits you, pinches you, your body shrinks, doesn't it? That is to be sensitive. Otherwise you wouldn't feel. If somebody says things against you, get angry. That's also to be sensitive. To see the flowers, to see the skies, to see the birds, the mountains, the evening sunset, the moonlight. And that's also to be sensitive. So, to become very, very sensitive as you grow older, not become more and more and more dull. That's one of the greatest difficulties. To be very sensitive, to be very alert to other people, to what you are saying, how you are sitting, how you are talking. And when you are very sensitive, then you begin to observe. And out of this observation, you will begin to learn. And when you are learning, there is no problem at all. It's only when you have stopped learning, problems arise. So, it seems to me, right education is to help one to learn. That is, help one to observe life. Not to judge, not to condemn, not to say this is right and this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, but just to observe. And through observation, learn. And therefore become very sensitive. And it's only a mind that's very sensitive that is an intelligent mind. And such a mind, being very intelligent, then can meet any problem. Problem of a job, problem of quarrels, all the rest of the things that life has. Without that intelligence, you become dull. You become heavy. And you have got innumerable problems that smother you. So, right education is not merely, at least I think, not merely to pass some few examinations and get a job, but also to mature slowly. You know what it means to mature? No? A fruit on a tree, it matures very slowly. It takes the whole of summer, many sunny days, many dark nights, and gradually a fruit that's not ripe ripens slowly, takes many days, many weeks, many months, till it is ripe, rich, and you can fall to the earth or you can pick it. In the same way, one has to mature slowly. And modern civilization doesn't allow you to mature slowly. It's only when you know how to mature slowly, delicately. Then, the longer time you take to mature, the greater the intelligence, the greater the sensibility. And it's only slowly maturing mind that understands life.
The third extract is from the second discussion with staff at Brockwood Park in 1974 and is titled Maturing Endlessly.
I like to approach the problem of conditioning in a different way, may we? It is said, I believe by professionals, that after one reaches the age of 35 or so, one begins to decline mentally. Mr. John.
I heard 25.
35. Not 25, no, give us a chance. Mr. John was reminding me of it the other day in the tent. And also, Aldous Huxley used to talk about it a little bit, because there was, I believe, a book written about it all. And is maturity a decline? That's what is implied. And is it possible to prevent, or use another word if you wish, to ward off old age at 35 and let the mind mature slowly? Mature, not reach a height and then decline, but keep on maturing as it grows, older and older and older, more and more mature, more and more alive, more and more intelligent, and all the rest of it. I don't know if it is a problem to you, or if you have thought about it. I haven't. I just thought about it as I coming down the stairs. Our education consists in cultivating memory and cramming the brain, a certain area, with a lot of information, about almost every subject, and more one specializes, the more the decline, I think, is. Just a minute. I'm just investigating, don't. And is that one of the causes of our decline? You understand my question? If my brain is cultivated, a small part of my brain is cultivated only with knowledge and nothing else, as it is done in so-called education, which is a conditioning the mind, the brain of a certain area, only within that, with knowledge. Is that one of the reasons of this immaturity as one grows older? I don't know if I'm making myself. Am I making something clear, or am I talking? I mean, if I had a son, my old son, I would want him to mature very, very slowly. I would like to have him not experience sex immediately. It's the fashion now. It is pervading the whole of the world. It began in the West, now it is going to the East, and it is destroying people there. I was told in Delhi University, which never happened before, girls and boys, something extraordinary is going on in every kind of university, not only in Delhi and all over India, but also it must be happening in other parts of Asia. And I want to find out if I can prevent my son from plunging into all this, drink, sex, smoke, the whole modern civilization, and prevent him, or rather find out whether there is a possibility of cultivating or opening another area of the brain where knowledge is not so colossally important. I don't know if I'm talking in any sense. There's Dr. Burma. I hope he'll stop me talking nonsense. Is maturity reached at a certain level and then decline? Or is maturity a constant movement? It's never ending. I may live 80 years and the maturity must go on still. Please, let's talk. It's a rather interesting subject if we can go into it, because it might reveal something in our education, how to bring up a student, how to help him to mature very, very, very slowly. And if the cultivation of knowledge as memory is the only thing that is so important in life, is that the cause of decline after reaching a certain age? Or is maturity a movement that is endless till death naturally happens?
The fourth extract is from Krishnamurti's sixth public talk in Saanen 1962 and is titled Immediate Maturity.
I think it is important to differentiate between learning and acquiring knowledge. Because the mind that is learning is an innocent mind. And the mind that is acquiring knowledge is an old mind, a dead mind, a stagnant mind, a mind that is in corruption. And a mind that is learning incessantly, all the time learning. Such a mind alone is an innocent mind. And to learn about maturity, is to be mature. For most of us, maturity is either ripening in experience, in knowledge, in age, and having reached a certain point and from there decline. That's what we call maturity. A mature person, a person who has had a great deal of experience, who is wise in years, who knows how to adjust himself to all the given and unforeseen circumstances, capable. Having very clear, sharp mind. For most of us, maturity is that which is moving in time and arriving at a full ripened state. Isn't it terribly fun? Bombay here. Let's get going. To us, maturity implies a gradual process in time. In time, the mature mind is free of ignorance. That's what we consider. Ignorance being not having knowledge of worldly affairs, of little experience, of being incapable to deal with life, with all the complexities. So we need time, like a young person who's just venturing upon life. He needs time to mature. By the end of, when he is 60, then perhaps he will be mature, because he will have gathered experience, knowledge, suffered all the travails and the pressures and the strains of life. And maturity, to me, is something entirely different. Is it possible to be mature without going through all the process and the travails of time? find oneself completely mature, whatever the age is, which admits of no time to be in that state of maturity. Implying that whatever problems arise, he can deal with it immediately and not carry it over for the next day, which is the very essence of immaturity. It's the immature mind that is ridden by problems and lives in problems and continues in problems from day to day to day. And a mature mind can deal with the problems whenever they arise immediately and not give soil to the mind, which is a state of innocence. Now, to find oneself in that state of maturity is to learn and not to acquire knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge is essential, mechanical. When we deal with how to drive a car, how to learn a language, electronics, engineering, and all the rest. Mechanical knowledge. But to learn about maturity, that is, not acquire or be in that state of maturity which is generally conceived of, but to be in that state. Is to learn, because that maturity implies breaking away from the past, which is essentially the piling up of knowledge. And to learn about oneself, to learn, which is self-knowing, to know about oneself. What is oneself? Really, if you look at if one looks at oneself, one is a mass of accumulated experiences, wounds, pleasures, ideas, concepts, words. That's what we are, a bundle of memories. To learn about the essence of oneself is to learn the essence of not being, the essence of no self. Please, this is rather complex thing. So if I may go into it a little bit, perhaps it will become clear for oneself. We are, each one of us, the result of our environment. educational, psychologically the pressures of the society, with its moralities, with its contradictions, with its wars, with its conflicts, with its ambitions, greeds, envies, and all the rest of it, beliefs and dogmas. That's what we are. We say we are the essence of the Spirit, essence of God, the soul, all given to us through propaganda by the church or by society, or by the parents who have been brought up in a particular culture. That's what we essentially are. A bundle of memories, bundle of words, identified with property, with family, with name, all based on memory. That's what each one of us is. You may not like to discover that for yourself. It may be most unpleasant, because we think we are most extraordinary entities. But we are not. We have little capacities probably to write a poem, to paint a picture, to be a rather clever, cunning businessman, or be very clever in the interpretation of a particular theology. But what we actually are, the wounds, the memories, the pains, the things that are remembered, the vanities and the frustrations, and all that, what we are, consciously or unconsciously. Mostly, if you are at all aware, somewhat intellectual and intelligent, we are aware of it superficially. We are not aware unconsciously of all this residue. Now one has to learn about it. Not acquire knowledge about it. Please see the difference. The moment you acquire knowledge about yourself, you are strengthening yourself in knowledge about yourself. So, to learn about yourself is to be innocent about yourself and see actually the fact about yourself. I don't know if you're capturing what I'm talking about, if I'm making myself clear. I have a knowledge about myself. I've been insulted, I've been flattered. That remains in my mind, in my memory. And with those wounds and with those pleasures, I look. And so I translate everything I see in terms of those reactions. And there is nothing to learn. In that state, there is no learning, because there is no spontaneity. But if I understand, if I've really listened and learned that to see oneself as one is and not translate what one is in terms of the past, interpret what one is in terms of the past, which depresses one or which elates one, but to learn the fact of what is about yourself every minute. And that is the only state in which you can learn about yourself. And there is not much to learn. Really, there isn't much to learn about us. You know what we are, absolutely and clearly, without any hesitation. One can know oneself one is alive. If one is sexually lustful, really envious, one can easily find that out. But when we discover what we are, we interpret or translate what we are in terms of what we have already known, experienced. And therefore we don't learn about what we are. I don't know if I'm making this clear. If we interpret what we are, what we discover in ourselves, we're adding to what we already know, and therefore strengthen the memory of ourselves. And that process does not bring freedom at all. And you can only learn in freedom. So, instead of going through all the complex states of the conscious, unconscious, of all the divisions, the layers, the cunning divisions, fragmentations of the mind, if you can learn immediately, which is the state of maturity, that the essence of the self is the non-self. There is no essence, there is no entity as center, but memory, words, a thing that is past, which is always interpreting, translating, condemning, judging that which is actually. So, if one can do that, then there is a state of immediate maturity.
The final extract in this episode is from the second talk at Rajghat in 1965 and is titled, "Maturity Means Every Act is Complete."
Maturity is one of the most difficult things to understand. To be mature, you may have an old body. You might be 25 or 35 or 65 as bodily, but you may not be mature at all. To be mature means that you have not a little mind, petty little mind, thinking about yourself, worrying about yourself, your position, your job, your family, your nation, your little virtue. So petty little mind, though it may have an aged body, is not a mature mind. Maturity means an action which is total, not fragmentary, where you act completely, every act is complete. Every question is complete, because in that very question is the answer. But unfortunately, we act in fragments. I am a businessman and I make money crookedly or cunningly, and at home I treat my family as though, I don't hurt them, I won't do anything. I'm hurting others. I worship my flag and hate others. And so on and on and on. As long as there is the activity of the me, of the self, there can never be maturity. Maturity comes not with age, not with degrees, not having BAs and MAs and PhDs and doctors and this and that. That's not maturity. Maturity is a state of mind and heart. Mind that thinks dispassionately. Clearly, and a heart that feels sympathy, tenderness, affection. And it's only such a mind is a mature mind.